Welcome to Action Lab Live, where marketing and sales collide and unite. My name's Torlando. I am your host. With me is your other host, Chris Watson. How you doing today, Chris?
Man, I'm ready, man. I'm ready today. Hope a lot of people are at home right now, taking a little break. You get to soak in, get to hear this amazing conversation as we dive into the buyer's journey. And quite honestly, we're going to be talking about today something that is so close to a lot of people's hearts is Thanksgiving and
It's our
turkey.
Thanksgiving episode.
Thanksgiving episode. Yeah. And the turkey, Torlando, I actually wrote a kid's book when I was in second grade. It was called
nice.
Turkey Twins.
Uh-huh.
I got second place in my second, I think it was my second grade class. I got second place in my class, which means they bound it. They took my papers and they actually bound it. I got second place.
Yeah.
The girl that got first place, her mom wrote it. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the story went that it was turkey twins. And I think I probably based this off of where the red fern grows. But one of the twins got eaten for one of the Thanksgiving. And like, there's a picture of one of the turkeys looking through the window. And he's like got a tear, and his brother is on the table cooked, right?
Oh, that is.
And then it ends. Oh no, I lied to you. It was mom, and so the turkey twins got so sad that mom got eaten that then they wouldn't eat, and so they had no choice. They had to eat the turkey twins. And I was not a violent or morbid kid, but apparently around that Thanksgiving time when we were writing books and the red fern grows and it's just like, well, we typically eat turkeys.
Yeah.
But everyone knows, I think everyone knows, and they just don't want to admit it, that there's kind of a debate. We've seen ham creep in. We've seen other foods creep in. In fact, some people don't know this, but we don't even eat traditional Thanksgiving at my home anymore because no one really likes turkey. We just don't. We don't.
Fighting words.
I know. It is. Now we sell some of the other traditional stuff. We throw some mashed potatoes and whatever else in there. But this year, we are actually doing stir fry, Asian stir fry. Last year, we did carne asada. The year before, we did chili. The year before, we did Hawaiian chicken breast with the pineapple on top and like Polynesian type food. So I say all that because today we're going to talk about the buyer's journey. And you have a very relevant journey as you being a buyer that is relevant to this conversation about turkey. And I'm going to let you kick off your story and we'll just kind of unpack it and guide it through the buyer's journey as we think about marketing and sales and how they need to be aligned to make sure that the buyer feels like that they're on a seamless, easy journey, getting to that elixir, leaving the old world of traditional turkey and getting to the new world of something even better and meeting some obstacles along the way.
Yeah. Well, that is, I think for the traditionalists in the audience that this is going to be a hard one, a hard pill to swallow. But I think it's an interesting sales question. How do you fight against the tradition of a turkey? How do you become the main entree, the main course, and say, you know what, you don't need a whole turkey? That is a tall order. And you're right, Chris. The thing is that just like you, my family, we have strayed from the tradition. We no longer do a full turkey.
I love it as strayed away. That's such a funny word.
We don't deep fry the turkey. We don't bake it. We don't roast it. We don't. Mom sold her, dedicated turkey machine that she had. When we've gone with something different. So a couple years ago, I had a friend who he was a trainer for State Farm. He would recruit and train independent State Farm agents. And I live in Indiana. I'm in a college town. It's a small college town. It has kind of a bigger city feel to it. Bloomington, Indiana, home of Indiana University Hoosiers. But surrounding us is just a very rural. Everything's very, very rural. And he would travel around to all these rural towns and recruit agents, train his agents, all of that. Well, one year he stumbled upon this meat locker called Odin Locker, ran by a Mennonite farm, and he found these marinated turkey tenderloins, and he was told they're good. He brought them. He held a barbecue. He cooked them. Invited me over. Invited the whole. He invited our whole community there, and we all fell in love with this turkey. I mean, it was so good, and it wasn't the whole thing. It was just these little slices. They're not little; they're kind of big, but they're just these turkey tenderloins that were marinated. He just grilled them up, served them up, and we all fell in love with them. And so he told us where to go get it. Right? He told us that if we wanted to buy this ourselves, that you got to go to Odin Locker. It's in Odin, Indiana. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. Here's where you go. And so one year, a year or two after that, my family was having a debate. As it turned out, about 3/4 of my family actually doesn't like turkey. And there are a couple people who are just like, no way. We have to have a turkey. It's Thanksgiving. It's not Thanksgiving without a full turkey. And there was a big debate. People are upset because my dad was just like, "Can we just do chicken?" It's like, well, you can do chicken every anytime. Turkey is a Thanksgiving meal. You got to do the Thanksgiving meal. There's a big debate about it, and finally, I said, you know what? Let's find a compromise here. There's a butcher that I heard about. It's a 45-minute drive. I'm willing to go out and get this turkey. It's really good. I promise you, it's really good. We'll have turkey. It is turkey, but you're not going to have to go through the trouble of cooking the turkey for however many hours, 5-6 hours, however long it takes. Thawing it out for 13 hours. You're not going to have to go through all that. We can we can have turkey, and it'll be a lot easier. So I went out. I bought the turkey. It is in a rural area, and I'm sure a lot of you have wonderful political beliefs and persuasions, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's in the middle of Trump land. I was a little nervous going a little nervous, but I got out there. It was fine. Everybody is nice. I grabbed the turkey. I came back. I cooked it up on the grill. Everybody loved it. And the next year they said, "Are you going to get the turkey again?" And I said, "Absolutely."
And I think for salespeople, how often do we hear, "Oh, I already do this," or "I already have this," or "I'm already with the competition"? And in this case, the competition was the turkey, right? Not the turkey tenderloin. It was the turkey. And so there was some internal debate of, well, do we want to really get this turkey tenderloin? Oh, we've got to have turkey. And I think as salespeople, sometimes we are quick to give up when we hear, oh, they're with the competition, instead of continuing to speak to the buyer about where they stand currently, what are some of the advantages of our product, where are they at on the journey to then potentially investigate our product, talking about those things that you talked about, some of those pains of like 5 to 6 hours, to disposing of it, to potentially burning it. Like for me, I'd be sending the I know it's Christmas, but I'd be sending the Santa Claus clip of Tim Allen and the beautiful picture, and then him like burning the turkey. Like, we don't want this to be you. Come get a turkey tenderloin, at our shop. And I think that in this case, that the other part that I don't know if you mentioned or not is that did you say it was a Mennonite community?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So, me growing up in the Midwest, we had a lot of Mennonite communities, and their reputation precedes them. And I think an organization, in a marketing sense, they have a brand, and that brand is supposed to precede them, right? And and so what we know about the Mennonites is, in our experiences anyways, is that they're extremely hardworking, that they are not distracted in their work probably the same way that that we are, because we're plugged in, we're
Mhm.
we're binging, we've got all, I think the book I'm reading, right, that you've read before, is the Four Disciplines of Execution. They're not caught up in the whirlwind
Yeah.
of
Right.
work, right?
Yeah.
And so they're able to focus. So what does that mean? That means that, the work, the things they build, the meat they make, the cheese they make, anything that has their stamp on it, I always feel like, oh, that's going to be customized. That's going to be
Yeah.
signature. That's going to
Got a
be
higher level of
high
craftsmanship.
level. Correct. It's like buying furniture from Mennonites. That was always a big thing from a couple
Yep.
of my grandparents. Like, oh yeah, that rocking chair that was made by the Mennonite community. And so I think that reputation, not only the referral, but the reputation of where it was coming from, allowed you to say, you know what, I am going to drive the way. I am going to go into Trumpville, as you say it, right?
Mhm.
I am going to go fight my family to say, hey, we're going to try this turkey tenderloin instead of turkey. But that was because of, well, one, the brand, and two, the referral. And I think what's incredible about it is then when you got there, the people, the organization, and the product, it it met all of your expectations.
Right.
Sometimes I think, not to hurt any marketing's feelings out there, but sometimes the amazing marketing and smart marketing experience, the organization and the product can't back it up.
Right.
Right? You make me so excited about what this thing is, and I then meet with an SDR, or I meet with a salesperson, and they don't back it up. Like, it's not
Yeah.
experiential anymore. I'm not like, wow, this is so incredible. It's almost like you really didn't meet me at where I was in the journey, to be able to continue to progress me. Now, something we talked about before we jumped on was of what's occurred now that you have eaten this turkey tenderloin, now that
Mhm.
your family loves the turkey tenderloin, now that mom has gotten rid of the turkey pot. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so tell them a little bit about like what has shifted for you, that as you were the buyer and you got this new elixir and you brought this
Mhm.
new elixir into your world, into your family, kind of your role and how it maybe has shifted.
Yeah. So, I mean, a few things have happened. One, it relieved a lot of pressure on my mom to be the main, to be responsible for everything pertaining to Thanksgiving. And the reality is that while a lot of moms love the cooking and the preparing and all of that, my mom doesn't. She really doesn't like cooking. And she does it anyway. And so so it allowed me to give her a little bit of relief.
Talk about
uh,
being a hero.
yeah, right. I got to be the Thanksgiving hero, at least a little bit, not completely. I'm not going to totally claim that, but it got me to be a participant, to say, you know what, we can still have turkey. We can still have food that people are going to like and enjoy. Everybody can enjoy this turkey, even if you don't usually like turkey, you're gonna like this because it's so good. And so it really allowed us to solve this little crisis of, do we are we going to throw away our traditions
Mm.
because not enough people are happy with the status quo. So I think it's really interesting. And when I do kind of back it out, and then I apply our buyer on a journey framework that we've been developing, I'm looking at each phase of my process of buying, and it fits really, really well. And so I want to break this down for our audience here. So the summary here is that a hero or a character gets called on an adventure, and the call to adventure is a result of what we talked about in our last episode, the crisis level event.
Mhm.
Has to be something that is going to fundamentally shake the world of everybody in it. The place that they live in is called the ordinary world, right? And this is something that you'll see in movies and in stories dating all the way back to the Iliad. The characters in the ordinary world, things are inherently unsatisfying. There's an impact and a crisis level event where the way we were living, we cannot live that way anymore. There was a fight, there was a debate, right? And then the character meets a mentor. And in my case, the mentor was my friend who showed me the turkey.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to me that he didn't work for Odenlacher.
Mm-hmm.
He just had become an evangelist of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he still stepped into that role. And how? Because he was actually cooking the turkey and he shared it with me, gave it to me. And I said, this is the best turkey I've ever had in my entire life. And he said, well, here's how you go and get it. And he revealed a plan, and he opened up this special world where is apparently in the Mennonite community where they just know how to make really good food. They know how to make good marinades. They know how to make good barbecue sauce. They know how to make good, rubs and all of that. Really good beef jerky, by the way. That didn't last on the car trip home. And so the mentor shows you a path to solving the crisis. Now, there's always going to come a point where the character objects the call, where they have doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And in our case, it was like, oh, can we really replace the traditional turkey
Mm-hmm.
with this with a grilled turkey tenderloin? Can we really do that? Is that going to be disrupting the American tradition in a way that my family members can't wrap their mind around? It was serious. I had doubts. But here's the thing. This turkey has become so popular in my community. What will happen is if somebody catches wind that you're going to take a trip out to Odenlacher, they'll say, hey, can you come by and grab my cooler and fill it up for me so that I can put this turkey tenderloins in my deep freeze. And yesterday when I went out, I grabbed a couple extra for a friend just as a gift. I wanted to bring it to them as a gift. I showed up at their house with the turkey and they were like, thank you so much. We're actually replacing our turkey this year with the turkey tenderloins. So they're doing the same thing. They are not cooking a turkey this year. They're replacing them with the turkey tenderloin. And so, when you go into that, what is represented and at least in the traditional hero's journey, going into that rural country, that is the transition from the ordinary world where I'm just kind of this college town guy going into this really rural town, farms, tons
Mm-hmm.
of farms, tons of Trump 2020 signs. Very unusual place for me. My liberal college town is very different. And you have to make that decision that, what, we are going to do this. We are going to fight the crisis. We are going to stab the belly of the beast, and we're going to come back with what is known as the magic elixir that is going to save the day, right? And in this case, the magic elixir was the turkey. And in our audience's case, the magic elixir is your product. And that's the journey that they're going on. They are encountering a crisis. They meet a mentor that helps them, that reveals the special world where they can actually overcome and
Mm-hmm.
fight. They have to overcome some objections, but ultimately they will cross a threshold into the special world, fight the crisis, stab the beast, and return back with the magic elixir that's going to solve all of their problems.
Yeah, I think it's great because they made turkey great again. And I think that's
you had to do that.
I had to. Sorry. They made turkey great again. So maybe they should just stick to turkey. But what I think that needs to be drawn out of this, that both marketing and sales and an organization out there listening, is, are you doing a great job of making your current customers guides? Because in this case, that has happened now, repeated twice, where the State Farm regional individual, they bought it, they let you try it, then they became the guide to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you bought it, then you became the guide to get other people there. And that's how you grow an organization, not only from the outbound, but also from the inbound and from massive referrals. And so I think when we think about the journey as a whole, we should be holding ourselves to a standard of when they get the elixir, the journey technically isn't over in that moment from an organizational standpoint, that we should be helping everyone that has the elixir be an evangelist with the elixir to tell others about the elixir. Because even if they just tell one, we have to understand that Odin Locker Butcher Shop had no context, or you didn't trust them, you didn't know them, there's no relationship there, so that they needed their buyer, this guy that you did trust, that you did have a relationship with, that you did believe, that you did have context with, that has no reason to lie, to tell you about the elixir, to tell you about the turkey tenderloin. And I think, yes, we know that, we're drawing out this micro story into something large, but I think it is a very relevant story for anything that someone's selling. If we're selling a $25,000 SaaS product, it really is no different, other than the buying process, the sales process, the cycle might be longer, but this person is navigating through this exact same way. And imagine this. Imagine if you had shown up and they didn't have the turkey tenderloin. Or imagine if you showed up and they weren't kind. Imagine if you showed up and this better world, this new world, this elixir
special world
wasn't what it was cracked up to be. Now it was, and probably even then some, because he didn't tell you about the jerky. He didn't tell you about the barbecue sauce. You bought that on your own.
Right.
So you actually you ended up becoming a bigger spender, a larger revenue source than even the person that referred you.
Yeah, I bought $100 worth of meat yesterday.
Yeah. So I think for all intents and purposes, when you think about what we're trying to create with the Action Lab, or what we know has to happen, is that in this case, there weren't a lot of marketing and sales efforts because you were going to a location. But in most product sales, whenever we're buying a product or a service, if marketing and sales are not aligned, and as we've been talking about, that currently a lot of marketing and sales departments or people are at a war. It's like it's a civil war internally where they're fighting.
Yeah.
That when they're in that fight, that who really suffers? Well, marketing doesn't suffer and sales doesn't suffer, because they have a community where they're going back to the water cooler or wherever to their chats or whatever and saying, can't believe marketing keeps sending us these crappy leads with these white papers we'll never send. And did you see that last ad campaign they ran out? It was awful. Like, it didn't even make sense. And marketing's like, man, sales can never close any of these leads we send them. And we're trying to lower CAC. And our attribution models tell us that people are clicking. There's a war. And it's in there. But guess who suffers? The buyer. Because their journey is the one that is disrupted. So the Action Lab is saying, let us come in and sign some treaties. Let us come in and not make anyone feel like they have to be at war anymore, as well as nobody's ever going to be claimed the victor. In fact, who needs to be the victor is the buyer on this journey.
Right.
And when we're at a war, they can't be the victor. In fact, they're the casualty of the war. They're the one that's being suffered. And ultimately, the organization is going to suffer the most, because all the lagging indicators like revenue and profit and lower customer acquisition and and maybe even like your share price are all going to dramatically decrease, because now and it comes from that critical event that's going on in a lot of organizations, that their marketing and their sales are at a civil war. Now, I want to let you speak to and wrap this thing up. Is this war one, like we can walk out our front door and we can see the bombs and the fighting, or is it more of a quiet war where we're almost sending drones? It's maybe even a Cold War, right? And because I wonder, and in my experience, I just feel like it was never a blatant war where I told marketing their stuff sucked or I didn't like their leads. I probably more did that in my own clique, in my own group. And I'm being vulnerable. Like, am I ashamed of that? Yeah, I am, but I did it. and I think
Yeah.
everyone has. So tell us a little bit about kind of what kind of war it really is, and then how Action Lab, how we plan to help solve this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a war on the relationship between the two departments. In the last episode, we talked about the four horsemen of a toxic culture. And even if I had a mentor who told me that when you say something bad about somebody behind their back, it will get back to them 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And so if you're looking at that white paper or that ad and you're criticizing it, even in your click, it's getting back to the person who made it. It's getting back to them. It's one way or another, it's getting back to them. And that criticism causes them to be defensive, especially if they're not emotionally intelligent enough to, to find the deeper reasoning behind the criticism. They'll get defensive. When they get defensive and that relationship feels, worn out and beaten up, resentments pour in. And when you're resenting each other and openly criticizing each other, then you stonewall. And that's where it goes quiet. That's where it goes cold. And so you are not able to move forward together in a unified manner because you can't talk, because you can't provide constructive feedback, and there's no reciprocity, right? You're not coming to the table where everybody's a first class citizen, where everybody's voice matters. You're not coming to the table with humility and eagerness to learn and to progress and grow. You're just not coming to the table with those things. And I think that's what we really aim to, that's one of the guiding principles and the purpose of the Action Lab, is to get these folks in the room together and facilitate a conversation to where we can define what is a good lead, what is an SMQL for us, what is the crisis level event happening in our buyer's life, what do we want the buyer journey to actually look like, how do we position ourselves as the mentor, how do we make them the hero of the story, right? How do we ensure that we are providing the right magic elixir that's going to help them save the day? And I could tell you, you can have a really good marketing and sales team, but if the product is junk, if it's overpriced, if it's broken, if it doesn't, if it solves a want, like not even a want, if it's a vitamin versus a painkiller, if it's a nice to have,
Right.
you can add as many salespeople as you want. You can spend as much ad dollar as you want, but if the market doesn't want it, it just doesn't want it. It's not the magic elixir, right?
And sometimes I would say, I think this is a big push for a lot of organizations, or should be. Sometimes what we think the pain is that we're killing, and what our customers would actually tell us is the pain that we're killing, is where there's discrepancy. And so if, let's just say, Odin Locker said, you know what, everybody's been buying these turkey tenderloins in Bloomington. What if we began to market or advertise in there? Then their first step would be to go to people like you, to go to people like your buddy, the State Farm, to say, why are you willing to drive 2 hours to come and get this turkey tenderloin? Don't you have a Whole Foods in town? Don't you have places in town you could get? So I think that would be one thing I would suggest. I think walking away from this is that, do you actually understand the magic elixir that you're providing on the buyer's journey? Because if you don't, then you may be taking them on a journey that they don't actually want to go on, or that then when they get to, this new world, when they get there to this, and then that's what's so crazy to me is I think, how many times have you and I bought items or invested in products that then it wasn't the magic elixir that was promised? A lot.
Right.
It's happened. Right. And ask me how many times I went and bought again from them. I didn't. I probably canceled my subscription. I probably looked for an alternative. I probably honestly was probably louder about the product not not becoming the elixir than I was about the product that was the magic elixir. Because
not only did you not refer, but you advocated against. Don't use that.
Be careful. Don't buy from there. Yeah, and
Right.
I think and whether that is unfortunate or not, I don't believe it's reality. The reality is that if I'm the hero and the hero doesn't feel truly like the hero at the end of like, yeah, look what I got.
Yeah, I
I
saved Thanksgiving.
correct. If I don't act, you said this was Mom, you got to go back and get the pot.
Yep.
This isn't any
It's
man in
not too
that
late.
moment.
Start thawing the
Right,
turkey.
right. All right, guys, 5 hours from now, we're eating. Hope you
Yeah.
like eating at 10 p.m. But I
Yeah.
think at that moment, one, you're going to be upset with the State Farm buddy. Two, you're never driving there back. Three, if anyone ever says you're not, and probably, and we'll use this metaphorically, but you're probably not going to buy the Mennonite beef jerky or the Mennonite barbecue sauce or the Mennonite furniture. You're not going to buy really probably anything because you're always going to worry, is this actually going to meet the standard that was told before? And so
Right.
if you are, I want to speak from a sales side. I'll let you speak from marketing side, and we'll close this thing out. If you're in a marketing role where it's your job to increase wallet buy or customer spend, you need to really consider that before you start selling in your next product, that you actually understand, did the elixir, did this new special world, did it actually meet the expectation of your buyer that was on this journey? Did they actually feel like the hero? And if they did, then you have the ability to then understand the next product to expand that out. If they didn't, then you need to have a long conversation to understand why did it not, so that then you can report back to marketing, report back to sales to really understand, hey, our customer has this. And quite honestly, they're probably not going to renew. So, and I think that's a big conversation right now, as we have so many tech products that people are always looking for the renewal. Well, if I haven't done a good job of making sure that they are the hero, that this elixir did meet the expectations, they're not going to renew, which means they're now looking for the next Odin Locker that has the other turkey tenderloin, or I don't know, beef short ribs or something different that we're going to try to replace the turkey with.
Yeah, for sure. And this I think this kind of pulls in the product team a little bit and the customer success team. Probably outside of the scope of what we're good at, but I think that if you create the foundational communication skills that we teach in the action lab, that you're going to be able to go to product team on a united front and say, hey, we've been talking with our customer, we've been talking with prospects, this is the journey that we have identified that they need to go on. This is the crisis level event that they're experiencing, and we think that if you create a product that can really be the magic elixir to solve this problem, then we'll make the company a lot of money. And it can't be, you have to avoid the four horsemen in that conversation. But it starts with this communication between marketing and sales. It starts with testing your assumptions with real people, and Chris and I, we go through this. I have, as a marketer, I have these assumptions. But then when I talk to Chris, I say, hey, I actually just need you to talk to 10 people and figure out if my assumptions are right here. Right. And he's willing to do that because that's his thing. Right. I do that too, but he's really good at it. So that's what I'll say. And that's how I'll close. The journey that you put your buyer on, or that they are on themselves, whether you want to admit it or not, it follows this path, it follows this plan, and you want to position yourself as the mentor that's going to help them overcome their problem, given the magic elixir. That has to be your product. Awesome.
Let me throw
You
this
got
out
one
there.
more? Okay, throw it out.
I got one more. You are watching this potentially, and you might be a buyer of Action Lab, and so you're on a journey. And what we would tell you is where we would meet you is that there is a Cold War, a civil Cold War going on in most organizations. And if you are a CMO or a CRO or VP of sales, whether you believe it or not, there's a quiet war going on between sales and marketing, and they're not aligned. And what the Action Lab is going to do is it's going to facilitate, unlike a kickoff meeting, unlike a general meeting that you want to have, unlike a workshop that you want to throw, And I'll tell you why. It's because of context. Context. It's so key because the context of your meeting is already muddled. The context of your workshop is already ran by someone that they already feel like they know the motives of that person. But when you run an action lab and they have all of this data that we're talking about, all this content that they've seen from us, and they can go and look us up and see what we're screaming from the rooftops, they now have context of, oh, these people actually want sales and marketing to be able to communicate a green space for them to hop in. And the first rule of Action Lab, not like Fight Club, first rule of Action Lab is we're going to take action. That's the first rule. We're going to take action. So I would tell you, if you're a buyer and you're trying to figure out what will happen in 2022 if my marketing and sales team aren't aligned, if that war continues to fight, then what is the critical event? Well, you're going to feel the results of it without knowing the source of it. And we're telling you the source of it is that marketing and sales, that they are not aligned, and they may be in their quiet spaces fighting this war. And the Action Lab can come in. And the beautiful thing about the Action Lab is, and this is something that we were passionate about, is we not only want to come in and run it, we want to teach you how to run it. And then that context, now you can now have that context every quarter for bringing everyone together for the next campaign, for the update. And everyone knows I'm going into a green space. I get to communicate strategically. I get to tell people about it. And I just want our buyers to know that our hearts are where we are. Is the magic elixir is that the Action Lab can create alignment within your organization between marketing and sales, so that this war finally ends and everyone can focus on the buyer's journey.
Absolutely. Awesome conversation, Chris. That's our show, everybody. We love you, appreciate you, and we will see you next time. We come out on the Action Lab. It's every Wednesday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can go to join.actionlab.live and register so that you're getting notifications of when the show's coming on, so that you can tune in. And of course, if you want to have us facilitate an Action Lab, go ahead and DM us in LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever you're at, and we'd love to help you. This has been the Action Lab, and I'm Torlando. And what's your name, man?
Gobble gobble. Chris Watson, man. We appreciate you. Have a great Turkey Day or whatever you celebrate or whatever you eat.
Absolutely.